A few things comes to mind when you hear the term top hat, such as Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, the 1940s, monopolies, and of course, a Patek Philippe reference 1450 or 574. If you've been following my videos, I enjoy hunting quality vintage watches similar to Patek models. Hi guys, it's me, Derek Yao, aka Sao, and welcome to a new episode with me, the Omega Enthusiast. I recently came across another poor man Patek similar to the top hat reference. I'm excited to show it to you guys, so without further ado, let's get started. Before I begin and cause any angers to some of my viewers, please do not take the term poor man deliberately. I am not offending the brand by calling it cheap, but the term implies a quality timepiece that costs less than the genuine version. If you enjoy watching this video, I recommend you to watch the previous Poor Man Patek video by clicking on the link above. And if you wonder why this reference is referred to as a top hat, well, the shape of the case appears like a top hat. So what I have here is a beautiful solid 14K gold IWC Schaffhausen collaboration watch with J.E. Cadwell & Co. IWC, which stands for International Watch Company, which has a rich and successful history since 1868. Unlike modern-day IWC watches, vintage IWC dials spell out the full name instead of the abbreviation. Therefore, I would assume that this collaboration piece excludes the IWC name on the dial to keep it simple and less clutter. Patek introduced the top hat reference in 1940, which I assume IWC did the same, as this piece dates to 1941. I have seen many Patek top hat examples, but less than 5 examples of the IWC version. Even though the case design may appear identical, I like this IWC version more due to the slightly curved back, not to mention that the Patek version is a bit smaller as well. The other important thing to point out is the brim part of the hat on the IWC is pink gold, making the case a bicolored gold case, whereas the Patek case is in one tone. The designer of this IWC case is Crest Aero, an American case company famously known throughout the early to mid 1900s. To avoid the high import tariff costs, IWC has provided movement to Crest Aero since the early 1900s to assemble models for their US collection. That is why it is important to understand the history behind the watch before making any accusation that the watch is incorrect. One must know that many imported watches in the early days only show the name of the case manufacturer. If you compare this case with the Patek version, you will also find that this IWC case has a hinge, making it a flip open case instead of a regular snap open case, where the case back can come off. However, I prefer the thicker crown on the Patek since it is much easier to grab hold and hand wind the watch. How this rectangular watch stays so pristine and clean after 8 decades is really impressive. From the 1960s and earlier, you will find that most do not resist moisture if you study vintage quadrilateral case, meaning square or rectangular. So I would assume that this timepiece had very little wrist time throughout the last 80 plus years and was well stored to preserve this grade. The case dimension for this watch is 21.8 millimeters across, excluding the crown, by 37.4 millimeters from lug to lug. The brim diameter is 25.5 millimeters, and the case thickness, including the crystal, is 10.7 millimeters. If you have been in the wristwatch hobby for some time, you will understand that IWC is known to make high-quality movement, whether vintage or modern. While a Patek top hat takes a caliber 9-90 manual wind movement, this IWC carries a caliber 87, where both movements are relatively similar and ahead of their time. Examining and comparing the two caliber, even though Patek is a bit more complicated, I would consider both movements just as significant. Not to mention that the production of caliber 87 began in 1931. That was a long time ago. Even though this IWC is worth a fraction of the Patek version, I would consider it to be still quite a pricey timepiece that is worth a few $1,000s. And for your information, Hamilton, the brand Hamilton, also has a top hat model in 14K white gold with diamond dials. And here's how it looks. If you guys wonder who is J.E. Cadwell & Co., they are a jeweler established in 1839 in Philadelphia, famous for their unique handcrafted jewelry and watch collection, and of course for their silverware. But the company declined in fortune and was purchased by a couple other companies in the 1950s and 1990s. But as of 2019, the name J.E. Cadwell had re-established it with a single store where they only offer their jewelry collection. Let's assume that all three pieces cost the same. Which one would you choose? Comment down below and let me know which is your favorite. And here's a wrist shot of the watch on my wrist, which is 6 inches. Do you have a poor man Patek or know of one? Please share the brand and the Patek reference if you do. I would love to go on a hunt for the next piece and share with you guys. That's the end of this episode. Please support my work on Patreon or by smashing that thumbs up like button below. Your support allows me to continue to produce more of these educational videos. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on any of my future episodes. Thank you for watching and I look forward to seeing you in the following video.